Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Welcome, Olua. Welcome, Eric. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Gaston's World. Okay. Just wanted to mute the other screen. Okay, let's get straight to it, guys. 1 second. Okay, thank you for waiting. I was just trying to get the screen fixed for TikTok. All right, let's get straight to it. So I'm going to be reacting to a, let's say, a online discussion that people usually have on YouTube. Forgot the channel's name, but people come together and they have their 1-2 discussion about modern society, dating. And in this particular video, they're going to be talking about, does a female who is making a certain amount of money or is in a higher position in the corporate world make her masculine? Now, as we already know, there's going to be loads of disagreements and we're going to get straight to it. So we're going to hear and I'm going to break it down what I think, right? Okay, so let's go. Why is the video not playing?
Women do not want these guys. Do they exist? Yes. But you want a guy that's assertive. You want a guy that has a little bit of asshole in them. You want a guy that is able to say, "This is what I know to be true," and I'm
Okay,
standing
I'm
on
going to quickly
business,
just
regardless of what you
replay it. Put
exist.
the volume
Yes.
up.
But you want a guy that's assertive. You want a guy that has a little bit of asshole in them. You want a guy that is able to say, "This is what I know to be true," and I'm standing on business, regardless of what you think or regardless of what you say. That's the type of dude that you want. Right. However, when you describe what Ill is trying to tell you is that a man doesn't want to go home and have to compete with his woman, okay, and butt heads with his woman. And submissiveness simply means that you are taking off your crown, laying your crown down, and you're saying, you know what, I honor what it is that your position is as it relates to being over me. Right. And then on the other side of the man, he is being respectful. And the word that Miss I can't remember her name, the lady in the middle.
So, what I'm gathering, he's just describing the type of men that females are attracted to. They like the a hole guy, as he puts it, the man that you could almost say has it all together, doesn't really care. A lot of females do not like a guy that is the good guy, that is the nice guy. That's not the a hole guy. And usually the a hole guy also makes a great recipe for someone that is high earning, for someone that is a manager, for someone that is a CEO, which I'm going to get into, which I'm going to also get into. But that is also a great recipe for the man that usually is in a certain caliber. So that is also why a lot of females are attracted to this man, because that man usually is a high earning man or an affluent man.
Kiana said was that he is cherishing and valuing her disposition and honoring him. It works together. If he was a passive dude, he would be less likely to want to be submissive to him. So, yes, as we stated before, there are these anomalies, but in overall, women want men to lead them. Otherwise, what is the point?
I feel like
And
you
let's
make
be
it
real,
up.
when you see like
I feel
a
like
woman
you
who's
make
very
up.
high up on the corporate ladder, you know her, if unless the husband is the owner of the company or very high up on the ladder, she tends to be the head of the household. She controls him and everything in that house because it's hard for them to compete when she's I'm not saying that you necessarily at a high level of business are going to automatically be masculine, but to compete in the corporate world, you're going to need a lot of masculine qualities to
Exactly.
survive because we discuss the patriarchy and say, well, the patriarchy controls everything.
See, this is where females don't want to admit. If you are going to be money orientated, you are going to be masculine. And it's not just about being money orientated. Money orientated means that you are focused, hyper focused on making money. Now, the goal to being money oriented means that you want to reach a certain place in your career where you are financially making more than the average person. Now, that is going to take masculine traits, which is why being money oriented is already masculine. Just want to give a quick shout out to the super chat. Thank you, Eric. Side chick reaction was phenomenal. You debunked her BS. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. This is what I do. I like to expose these females as they should be exposed. All right, let's get back to it.
So that means you have to step foot in a patriarchal system and thrive, which means you have to be able to play that game along with them, which is going to require you to have highly masculine traits to get along.
And it might just turn off the men who you want to date. You can't have it all. That's all I'm saying. You can't have it all. You can be the top of the corporate ladder, but you're probably not going to get a man that really mess with you like that. The man that you want.
I think
Can't have it all, man.
That's acting like compartmentalization is not possible.
I mean, you could use any word you want. It don't happen.
See, this is the
It's
not going to happen.
I said
Those women are not. Nobody.
This is the issue. You know, you cannot be able to separate yourself from being masculine. And that is what Pretty Intellectual is saying here. Is that a female can be able to go back home and separate herself from her masculine traits and enter her femininity. And this is a lot of the ideologies that females will have, is that you can just tap in and out of it. But we are going to see further down the video why you can't, with actual proof and evidence behind that. And why it's actually much more harder for females to be able to separate themselves from their masculine traits when entering the corporate ladder or any type of career that will take sacrifice more than an average woman would usually take.
Wants those women.
No, I said compartmentalization. I said one word.
I'm just saying, women.
Then
No
why
one,
is it
whatever
that we
word you
don't
choose,
see
nobody
that
wants those
then?
women.
Oh,
Those
y'all, we
women
gotta
are
do. Hold on,
sufficient.
y'all. We gotta do one mic. We gotta do one mic.
Nobody wants those women.
I like
You
that
said
word.
nobody wants those women, but
No,
I
they
beg
don't.
to differ because you know who want those women? White men. Those
No, see,
women
exactly. I'm so glad you said
marry
that.
white men.
I'm so
They don't
glad
marry
you
white
said
men
that. I'm
because
so.
Sorry to cut it right in this moment, but you know what is so pathetic about that comment is it just shows you how much BLK females find validation in the white man being attracted to you. Why does that sentence validate you so much? Why do you feel that if a white man is attracted to you, somehow now that validates you being the woman that you feel that you are, you being the high value woman? And this is why you get these interracial relationships where black females will respect the white guy more than the black man. Even with all the red flags a white man will have, the difference is he validates her. He validates how she sees herself and how she wants to be seen in society. So as long as you're getting attention from the white man, they're always going to esteem themselves to be better and high value. And that's why she made that point.
I'm glad you said that.
I can tell you, everybody that's an executive that's black that I know, their husbands are white.
You're right, but that don't mean that's what they want.
Down with the,
Y'all love you. Go ahead, True. I'm gonna come back to that. Go ahead, True.
You was cooking, bro.
My thing is this. I'm so glad you said that, because like I said earlier, y'all love to use the YT man when it's convenient for you. Don't bring him up when it's convenient to make an argument just to be right. Who cares what an old wrinkly YT man wants? Like, no one wants that either. So the fact that you're bragging that, hey, I can be independent because I'm gonna get an old wrinkly YT man to validate that, you making our point. Nobody want him either. So that's what you gotta settle for.
And that is a great point, outside of the fact that he is white, because just because he's white doesn't mean you're winning. What type of white man are you actually attracting? And that's what a lot of black females do. White is right. That is their whole concept. That is why you don't see them going natural, because how they see it is the white ideology is the best ideology out there. But he broke that down. He broke that down perfectly. What type of white man are you actually getting? Is it really the one that you want?
Money, listen, sweetheart, listen. Stop. None of y'all want that. None of y'all want that. Y'all don't want that man. Stop it.
All right,
Y'all
so
don't want no old white man. Y'all don't want that.
Hold on, Isha.
So exactly, you just want to be right. That's the tit for tat shit. I'm just gonna be right, but it's not what you want. Why brag about something that you don't want? That's like me saying, "Hey, I can get me a big 400-pound girl. She'll love me." Nobody wants that.
The reason why they will brag in some sense, because a lot of these females that climb the financial ladder, they do see themselves as high value women because they're making money. You cannot be able to convince a female who's making above average figure or above average pay that you have lost your value as a woman, and that certain men in your caliber, when it comes to finance, are not going to be attracted to you. You need to understand, for you to hit a certain financial ladder, you need to be confident. You need to be quite dominant. That's her mindset. So anything that you say, she's always going to oppose it. That's the masculine trait. She's disagreeable. She's very dominant in the way she thinks. She's quite obsessive. That's what leaders, CEOs are like. So for you to believe that you're going to get through to masculine females, you need to accept that that's not going to happen. You are arguing with a man right there. She's a biological woman, but her thinking patterns is nothing like it. So she's going to disagree with you and find every possible way to do that.
It's just something to say to win an argument, but nobody wants that.
Let's go to keep the conversation moving. Pretty true. Bo, do you have your hand up in the back?
Yeah, she did. Go ahead, Bo.
Okay.
How fast does this thing go again?
Like 240 kilometers an hour.
Oh, YouTube and its advertisement break.
So when I hear these conversations being had about women who climb up the corporate ladder, or women who have all of this power and influence or whatever, not being wanted by a man, You all act like there are not women who exist. One that can, because Pretty said it, and I don't think that y'all just glossed over it and was like, don't nobody want that. Compartmentalization. You can be that woman in that space and go to another space.
Okay, just to break down this whole compartmentalization. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing the word right. It just means being able to separate. Okay? In a very short and simple way, it just means being able to separate yourself from A to B. And what they're saying, and they feel like they just glossed over it. No one glossed over what they said. What they're saying is that is very difficult to do when you are at the highest place in the financial ladder. You can't literally separate yourself from your job. You will automatically become that. For you to reach that certain place, like I said, there are certain traits: disagreeable, obsessiveness, dominant. Those are 3 component traits to even reach a certain place in the career ladder. And those traits are not easy to turn off. And that's what females will do. They will make it seem as if that is something so easy to gloss over. We can separate ourselves from this. No, you can't. So what's the point engaging in something that we already know is going to be harder to do than said?
And act like something else because people are capable of doing stuff like that. You do not have to be this boss babe in every space you go. You are not the same man in every space you go. So why is it that you put that jacket on us? Why is it that you put the jacket on us that we are that person in? And
that's a damn lie. Okay? You are always the same person everywhere you go. I'll be honest with you, right? I think with Black people, we are so, how can I say this? Accustomed to code switching that they think that's normal. Black people code switch. Everybody else doesn't necessarily do it. You don't exactly change who you are to be in certain places. The core character trait is still there. The fundamental part about you that makes you who you are is always going to be there. And I think she's misconstruing code switching and assimilating to actually the fundamental characteristic traits that you have. That doesn't change. Wherever you go, you are who you are. You don't separate those character traits. You just don't. That is quite impossible to do.
Side of the boardroom. Number 2, there are a lot of boss babes that y'all like to call them that are very bossy, that are very dominant, and there are men out there for them. It works. There are people that do make that work. There are women that do want men like that because that dynamic works. So if it does, it does. You can't just say, don't nobody want you just because you don't. You can't handle a woman like that. And that is okay because you don't want that. You can't handle it because you don't want it. And that's fine.
Being able to handle a woman is not a good thing. They use these terms to belittle the men that are not attracted to them, and they use these terms to belittle the man who is also giving these opinions or even facts about why masculine females are ultimately always going to be unattractive and won't be able to attract the man that they want. It's not that men can't handle them, it's that a man doesn't want to be in a position where he has to handle you. Men don't want that. What makes a woman, a feminine woman, attractive is that she's agreeable and submissive. A man doesn't have to handle you if you are submissive and agreeable. You align with the type of qualities and standards he already lives up to. Why would he handle you? And these would be the same females that would say, we don't want men who are controlling, but you want a man to handle you. It's backwards. A man handling you is quite controlling. To some extent, a leader is controlling, but controlling over you where he needs to handle you, I don't think that's the way to go. Men shouldn't have to handle you. You should just submit to the head of the house. It's just that simple.
But to write women off like that, as if they are devalued because they're ambitious, is really wild to me. I really want y'all to open up these boxes. You all box things up, and you all have 4 corners for people to be in.
Into a whole other creature, because a biological woman is inherently feminine. You change that, not him. And those are the fundamental qualities that you have as a woman. If you don't have that anymore, then you have lost core components of your value. Those are facts, not boxing anyone in. And they know it, but they still want to be valued, even though they are masculine.
And I want you all to open up those boxes and let people just be who they are and stop putting them in this confined space. Like, women who make a lot of money, have a lot of power, that are very dominant in the workforce have got to be their way in every other part of their life. That's just not true.
Oh, Sister Bo, we're not saying that. Kiana just explained it.
No,
It's
but at
not
the
that
same
it's true.
time,
He turned to the side.
It's
at the
not that
same
it's true. It's just that that's what tends to happen. I believe you, Bo. I think I'm sorry, True. I'm gonna let you go. I think humans can do a million things. We are multifaceted creatures. You can be a doctor today. You could be an artist. Like, we've proven that we can do mad stuff. People got a lot of different talents. I'm talking about tendency and likelihood.
but I didn't
Is
say
it
that they're not going
possible
to
that
get
a
married.
woman can wear these multiple hats? Absolutely. But what we see in society,
People can do many different things, okay? You know, maybe one day you can paint, maybe one day you can cook, one day you can go and do Pilates, one day you can go and paint. I don't know. I'm saying the same thing twice. My point is, you can be able to do different things, but you can't be able to change your character. That's it. See, masculine traits is tied to you as an individual, not what you can physically do. And that's what a lot of these females do, is they like to blur the lines between what you can do as a person and who you are as a person. I believe people don't change. But another thing as well, masculine and feminine traits are biological factors to men and women. You can't change that either. We didn't even choose for that makeup to happen. So that whole biological factor, you can't change that. You change that, that's going to be a phenomenal shift. So when females start saying, well, we can be able to do different things, we can be able to change certain things, you can't change your biological makeup to the sense where you think that if your core character traits are masculine and you can just switch it, that's not going to happen.
society, most of the time, what we see is women who are in these fields, like Kiana eloquently stated, it's kind of they take on a lot of masculine energy doing
Okay, but
these
that doesn't
jobs.
mean they can't get
I
married.
didn't
My
say
point
I
by
didn't
that,
say they can't. If I said I can't, I'll take that back. They can. I'm talking about what's likely to happen and what do we likely see. Most women, I don't see this. They can do it. I just don't see it happen often. Most women who have these strong careers, oftentimes it doesn't lead to being with they end up with the passive guy. I don't.
You know, it is true. It's not that it can't happen, okay? Yes, they can be able to get married, but what type of marriage is that going to be? And what type of man do they want to get married to? We all know that they have a type. They want a man that is either making the same amount as money as them or more. On top of that, they also want to, as females say, we want to be able to rest and enter our femininity, which I think is really stupid to say. You can't enter your femininity, either are or you're not. But that's their whole concept. The concept is they are looking for a man who A, makes more money or same amount of money, and B, can allow them to rest and be feminine by providing a lifestyle that can give them or allow them to have these experiences. Now, the type of man that can be able to hit those marks, and when I say hit those marks, not letting them be feminine, but lifestyle. When females say, I want a man to allow me to be feminine, she's talking about lifestyle. That's really that simple. She's talking about the fact that he can be able to afford for her to travel when she wants. He can be able to afford for her to go out to dinner dates whenever she wants. He can be able to afford for her to go to certain things and do certain things that will allow her to have a good time and have rest. It just is another term, abbreviation for lifestyle, just like the term provider is abbreviation for a rich man. So a lot of these boss babes, they are looking for a provider and a man who can be able to afford a certain lifestyle for them because they want to rest. They are masculine and in high positions, which takes a toll on you as a woman in general. It doesn't do the same for men. So yeah, you can be able to get married, but you're not going to be fulfilled in the marriage with the men that are going to want you. The men that you want don't want you either. And that's the point.
Don't often see them with a man that's very dominant like them. They're with somebody that they're either controlling or they're by themselves. Does that mean that they can't find a man like that? No, it don't mean that. I'm just saying that that's what we often see. I don't see women who can turn that off and just become this soft woman. Not saying it's impossible. I just don't see it happen oftentimes.
especially if that encompasses like your whole identity to a degree. I mean, if you're very career driven and that's been the center of your life for so long, you're going to have a tendency to function in that manner, regardless of whether you think you're switching off and not doing it. It's going to leak over into other aspects of your life. It's just the way things
And it
are.
just might
Of
be
course.
off-putting to men. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they just might end up with a guy who's, like you said, more passive. It's all about balance, energetic balance.
Crew's been trying to get in there.
True. Let's go.
I,
True.
you know, it is about balance, but in simple terms, it's about what the man wants. It's about what the man wants. It's beyond balance. We understand balance. We understand masculinity balances femininity, but that's not the world that we live in. Okay, there's masculine females out there who want to be balanced by a masculine man. So it's beyond this balance. It's what does the man that you want? And why is he never going to be attracted to you? In simple terms, that's what it's about. We are beyond balance. A masculine female is no longer balanced anymore. She's way off the scale. The natural balance that you had as a woman no longer exists. So there's no point talking about the natural balance between a man and a woman when the biological woman herself is no longer balanced within herself eternally, let alone with the man. He wants a feminine woman. You're not that. But females really don't like that reality, and they will do anything to argue against it. It's the feminists inside them still fighting the patriarchy. No matter how many people will see the patriarchy to be toxic, the patriarchy still is tied to traditional values.
Come in, pretty.
Because Ty said the presidents, right? And you guys all did this collectively. So I would like to know that. I'm glad Ty's back up on that panel. Ty, who would you say? Because you specifically said that not.
Okay, then. So that video is practically ended. So I'm going to I have 2 articles that I want to share and a video to back up why females who enter the corporate world are more likely going to be masculine. And this is not just an opinion, okay? This is an actual fact. So I'm going to skim through 2 articles that were made by psychologists in the UK and in the US, backed by a personality psychologist who breaks down why masculine females by the age 30 don't even want to be in their career anymore. I'm sure everyone knows him. It's Jordan Peterson, but he is a personality psychologist from what I remember. So a lot of what he says and is saying is backed by evidence. You can't escape that. That is the truth. This is what he does, okay? He looks into personalities and biological factors. So now the first article that I'm going to read, I'm just going to share this tab. Okay. So the first article I'm going to read is male and female bosses share the same masculine personality traits. And this is the British Psychology Society. So this is not just a opinion, a website. This is all backed by evidence. This is backed by professional psychologists who are literally made to do this. When I say made to do it, this is their profession. So male and female bosses share the same classical masculine personality traits. And this is what a lot of females argue against. They argued against the fact that, hey, we can be able to switch on and off, or the masculine personality traits doesn't exist. And this is how we're going to debunk it, just by simple logic. It doesn't take Einstein to figure this out and why they are always going to be wrong. Now, like I said, I did break down that about Jordan Peterson. It says that you may have seen the recent viral TV interview, which the Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson claimed that an important part of the reason there are fewer women than men in leadership positions is to do with personality differences between sexes. Genders. I'm going to say genders. So between genders. And that's important because that's exactly what they're talking about. See, a lot of females believe that these differences don't matter and these differences are not important. But if you have psychologists, and I'm not just talking about Jordan Peterson, but psychologists who recognize it themselves, why doesn't the average female recognize it? And why doesn't she want to recognize it? Because that proves ultimately that the value that you had as a feminine woman no longer exists. Okay? And he also breaks down why a lot of average women don't enter leadership roles because these core differences. So why men are more likely to be leaders or CEOs or in higher positions is because he is naturally masculine. All right, so I'm going to continue. Women on average score lower than men on traits such as assertiveness that are known to be associated with reaching senior roles, and higher on others that work against promotion, especially agreeableness and emotional sensitivity. Meaning There are traits that women will naturally have more than men. So women are more agreeable, they're more emotionally sensitive, and those are natural feminine traits, which masculine females do not like to hear and will always oppose against because they still want to be valued by the man that they will never get. While these observations are largely backed by evidence, okay, I'm going to say it again. While these observations are largely backed by evidence, that is so important for us to recognize. So when men are saying, or anyone at that is saying, men and women are biologically different and women are more naturally feminine, that's backed by evidence. It's no longer an opinion. It shouldn't even be an argument at this point. It's proven. The fact that you have to argue with females about something that has been proved by professionals shows you how delusional they are. And it shows you how masculine they are as well. What's far less clear, because the question simply hasn't been studied much before, is whether women who reach senior management tend to share the traits of men in these positions, or if instead female bosses have contrasting personality profile of an alternative female route to the top. Basically, are boss babes more masculine? That's really what they're saying. Is it true that boss babes are masculine? Even though we can say that there are evidence back to say that masculine and feminine traits exist in men and women, is it true that these boss babes are actually masculine? These are the questions for only one who would like more gender diversity in leadership roles, because the finding could point to clues for how to ease the promotion path for women. For a new paper in Journal of Vocational Behavior, a team led by Bart Willie at University of Antwerp has investigated. The researcher says comprehensive personality tests taken by nearly 600 top-level executives, including 143 female bosses and over 52,000 non-executives, including 17,643 women. Basically, they did a bunch of studies on a bunch of women. Women who are female bosses and women who are not. Okay. Men and women in non-leadership roles differed in their personality traits. So, men and women in non-leadership roles differed in their personality traits in ways consistent with the existing literature. For instance, women scored higher than men on characteristics associated with more being agreeable, such as being cooperative and people-oriented, while scoring lower on emotional stability and aspects of extroversion in contrast. The personalities of male and female bosses were far more similar, with many gender-linked, it says sex-linked, gender-linked differences absent altogether or greatly attributed. Although the women still scored higher on aspects of agreeableness. Okay, so basically what they're saying is this. Women who are not female bosses are seen to be more agreeable, more people-oriented, and cooperative. But when they now become female bosses, so in contrast, the personalities of male and female bosses were far more similar, with many gender-linked differences. And even when they are at the top of the rank, some of them are still more agreeable than men, but their personality traits are still the same. Basically, they are masculine. Male and female bosses are just as masculine as each other. Now, I'm going to play a video of Jordan Peterson. He's going to break down more why women are no longer wanting to be in these positions after they reach 30, and how he explains it also breaks down why it's going to be harder for these females to break out of their masculine traits. The way he explains it is awesome. So I'm going to change the tab and I'm going to play this video and we're going to hear what he has to say.
Their women are very good in high school, then they go to college, they're very good in college, they nail their damn grades, they do their studying, they get their A's and they ace their LSATs, so they're smart too. Then they go off to do their articling and they're really, really good at it. And then they...
Okay, I'm just going to back it up a little bit, sorry.
Their women are very good in high school, then they go to college, they're very good in college, they nail their damn grades, they do their studying, they get their A's and they ace their LSATs, so they're smart too. Then they go off to do their articling and they're really, really good at it. And then they get offered an associate position and they're really, really good at it. And then by the time they're 30, they make partner. And let's say they're in high pressure, high paying jobs. $250,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $500 an hour. Okay, what's your life like?
Okay, so he's basically breaking down before they hit the 30, you know, and this is why 30 is such a big number, especially for women. It's not just about the fact that your eggs qualities are declining. You know, 30 is a huge shift in your life. And he is literally saying it is that by the time they reach 30, that's when they hit the pinnacle of their career, the success in their career. That's when they hit the top of the ladder. So it takes them a good 5 to 10 years to get there. To start being a boss babe, it takes time. So he broke it down that, you know, you're college, you're educated, you got your university, you got the experiences, you hit 30, and now you're at the top of the game in the career ladder. You're finally there. It took you 5, 10 years, but you got there. You got the bag. Now what?
You work all the time, period. 70 hours a week, 75 hours a week. Okay, what's your life like? You work all the time, period. 70 hours a week, 75 hours a week, flat out, and you don't get to make any mistakes. And if your client calls you at 3 in the morning on Sunday, you say, I'm really glad to hear from you, because if you don't, there's some hot law firm in New York that'll take your client from you at a moment's notice. And the client is paying you, whatever, the firm, $750 an hour, of which maybe you get $350, and what they want is an answer about something really complicated right bloody now.
So basically what he's breaking down is when they hit the 30 and they're in the top of their financial ladder in their career, it is a whole new ball game. Okay? For a female to be in that position, you are working nonstop. You are working back to back to back to back. Your social life barely exists because you wouldn't be in that position if you didn't work back to back. You will have clients that will call you randomly telling you, I need this done now. And you have to do it now because that's the client that's going to give you the money that you worked for. A lot of it is like commission based. So sometimes when the client, whatever job they're doing, you know, your client might make, I don't know, maybe 50,000. I don't know. Okay. I'm not really good with the money, but you get a commission out of it. So you will get 50% of the large amount of money. Now, if you do not do what the client asked you to do then and there, you've missed a large amount of pay. So you have to do it. You worked 10 years, okay? You worked 5 to 10 years to get the bag. You are going to do what the client says. So it's back to back. There's no break. When you are a female in the when you're on the top of the financial ladder, there's no break.
And you can say all you want about The fact that women have a difficult time with that because it's a male-dominant patriarchy. Any female lawyer who's hit 30 and is a partner that has any sense at all knows that's complete bloody rubbish. It's market determined right to the core. What happens to the women when they're in their 30s? They all leave the high-end law firms. Why?
Yep.
Because who in their right mind would want to live like that? That's the issue, right? Once you make about $60,000 a year for your family, but let's say for you personally, additional income has zero impact on your quality of life. Zero. So why work 80 hours a week? Well, men will do it, some men, very few. A handful of hyper-competitive men who are obsessed with hitting the pinnacle of the given dominance hierarchy they're in will happily work 80 hours a week, and they'll forego everything else. Relationships, family, children, way in the second category.
Okay, so what he's saying, it's incredibly important because really he's showing you the difference. He's showing you the difference between men and women who have hit that financial ladder. For example, you see, a lot of females think that men who are at the top of their career don't sacrifice. Men sacrifice. I know it may seem like they don't because a lot of females think because I'm in the patriarchy, because a lot of females believe, a lot of females don't understand is that you are going to sacrifice. Men have sacrificed to be in that position. It is not easy. They sacrifice family time. They sacrifice time with their wives. They sacrifice time with their friends. Sacrificed events. And this is why by the time they're in their 30s, when these females hit the financial ladder, they realize, wow, this actually takes a lot more work than I realized. This actually takes a lot more time and a lot more effort in me than I realized. And that's what he's saying. For you to be in that place financially, it takes an obsessive type of nature, a dominant type of nature, a back-to-back focus. And that is why it's hard to switch off. You can't switch that off. Females that say you can switch it off, they actually don't even know what it's like. You can't switch it off. You need to be on the job every time. Just like men are. Men are on the job just all the time as well.
And so those men are often very difficult to live with too because they're so obsessed with their career. It's hard to have a relationship with them. And maybe they don't have much of a relationship with their kids, but they're damn good at what they do. And part of that is they're smart and disciplined and they'll work non-stop all the time. It's like an obsession. And that's the sort of people who run things. Those are the people who run things. Well, they're often also disagreeable too because you want to manage people? Really? They're not going to like you. You know, and it's not an easy thing to not be liked. And actually, if you're an agreeable person, and women are more agreeable than men, it's quite painful to be disliked. But if you're in a managerial and executive position, the probability that people are going to like you is quite low. Now, if you're a real son of a bitch, then they're going to dislike you more. But those positions are very stressful, partly because of the interpersonal dynamics.
Okay, then. So I'm going to leave it there because I think because he is about 11 minutes long, but I really liked that first part because he really breaks down what it takes to be at the top of the financial ladder and the type of sacrifices it takes to be on the financial ladder and why it is hard for females and women to even be in that career at the top of the financial ladder. You need to be obsessed. You need to be dominant. You need to be disliked. Most managers, executives, CEOs are disliked. It's not that you need to be disliked, but you are going to be the one to make choices that people don't like. And those are the choices that actually make you money. And you need to make those choices all the time. And he also made a great point that a lot of those men don't really have, I wouldn't say healthy relationships, but are quite absent in relationships. So what do you think it's like for the female who's also in the same place that these men are? She is going to be just as obsessive, just as dominant, and just as absent, just like those men are. So is it that you can switch it on and off? No, you can't. And is it that there's going to be a man out there who wants you? No, he's not. A man who's going to be in the same position and same type of financial ladder, he is going to eagerly want the opposite, especially if he has a family. Understand that man is going to be absent about 80% of the time because of the money he makes. He's going to need a wife, a mother, a nurturer, feminine, submissive, agreeable, cooperative. Not the exact same. What's the point? What's the point of being with someone who's going to be as absent as you, obsessed like you, and dominant like you? So men who are in those positions are always going to want a feminine woman because it benefits him. It benefits him and it benefits his family. And this is why they are unlikely to get those men. Just want to give a big shout out to the super chat. Thank you, Eric. Facts. I work 100 a week for a better life for my fam. Exactly. They always want to make it seem like men are not sacrificing when they do. That's all they do is sacrifice. So what do you think these females are doing in the same position? And they want to talk about, well, we can separate it. We can do both at the same time. No, you can't. Or you wouldn't be making that money. They wouldn't hire you for you to do two things at the same time. They wouldn't hire you if you're not going to be obsessed with your job. You make way too much money to think that you can just switch it on and off. They want someone switched on all the time. So yes, the type of man that you are going to be, it's going to be passive, because what kind of dominant masculine man is going to want to be with a female who is always going to be dominant and obsessive over her job? He's going to be quite a passive man. That's not, you're not going to attract a traditional man. Son said, I just started making a lot more than I ever done, but I had to get out of my comfort zone. I'm not a quiet as I used to be. I don't let people walk over me anymore. I speak up for myself a lot more. That's good to hear. Will corporations require a level of sociopathy and or psychopathy necessary to move on to the top? Exactly. And that's what Jordan Peterson was explaining. He was breaking down these core personality traits and why masculine men usually have those traits and why it's easier for men to do it. Men can endure more. It's easier for men to endure working nonstop, being obsessed with jobs nonstop. It's much more easier than women are. That's why I read the article, because it states that, the different personality traits. Women are more agreeable, more cooperative, more people-orientated. If you are naturally, as a woman, going to be people-orientated, you're not going to really want to be disliked by people. Because when you are going to be on a financial ladder, you are going to naturally be disliked. Because you are going to make choices, once again, that people are not going to agree with. That's just the case. That's why a lot of these tech bros like Peter the reptile are basically psychopaths. I mean, I definitely understand what you mean by that. And a lot of these females want to believe that, hey, I can hit the top of my game and still be feminine. But when you take a look at psychologists who break down these personality traits and why a lot of women choose not to be leaders, women naturally do not choose to be leaders because of the type of work that you are going to need to put in. And that goes against your feminine trait. It just naturally goes against your feminine trait. And that is the issue a lot of these masculine females are having. They don't want to admit that it contradicts that. It will always contradict it. And there's nothing you can do about it. There is nothing you can do about it. So when females argue logic, you need to really understand, is it that you're in denial, or is it that you want to still make sure you are valuable by these men? Because if you don't oppose these facts and logic, ultimately you are going to lose your value in the dating market. And that's a lot of these females' biggest fear. They want to have the upper hand no matter what. And if you can be able to prove to them that you lost your core values as a woman, then you don't have the upper hand in a dating market anymore. Men do. And that is a hard bullet to chew. Okay, so I'm going to read one skim through really quickly. And then maybe wrap it up, or if anyone wants to come up and have their say, they can. But this one is another one. I'm seeing that it's based in the US, and it practically breaks down the differences between women and men as well. And it also breaks down globally and the traits that you see, these traits that have been backed, that you can't run away from. You just can't. So globally, women held only 28% of senior management positions in 2020. And with increasing hierarchical position in organization, women's representation decreased. Over time and across different countries, several studies show that characteristics of successful leaders resemble stereotypical masculine characteristics, but not feminine characteristics, explaining the difficulties of women in reaching leadership positions. I mean, that's quite self-explanatory. Why are women less likely to be in leadership positions? Because they don't have masculine traits. And for you to be in these leadership positions, you are going to need to be masculine. And for you to enter these masculine traits, that takes time. That's not something that you just do automatically. That's why when Jordan Peterson was breaking down that she studied, she worked, it was gradual. Because that's where you are working up to. You're working up to a very dominant masculine role. Leaders are mainly seen to have masculine traits and characteristics similar to men and not to women. Thus, it is easier for men to move up companies' hierarchies to leadership positions. And that automatically debunks why you have these male-dominated spaces. when females say, well, it's not fair that men are taking over these spaces, it's not that it's not fair, is that naturally and biologically, he's made for those spaces. He's made for that role. You are not. So when you enter that role in that space, you take away your core value because that's not who you're supposed to be. And men know this as well. So they will naturally be unattracted to you because you are now the complete opposite of what he's naturally attracted to. Men in those positions is natural, is my point. It's very natural for men to be in these leadership positions, not for women. And that's why the men that they want don't want them, because they can see that you are no longer the woman you're supposed to be. The feminine biological factors about you no longer exist. But women will always be attracted to men in these leadership positions because it's natural for him to be in that position. When you are naturally in the place you're supposed to be, it's always going to be attractive, which is why he always will also have more options to marry than the masculine female. So thus, it is easier for men to move up companies' hierarchies to leadership positions, whereas women face a glass ceiling that is hard to break through. The preference for male leaders over female leaders manifests itself in different occupational situations. For example, in hiring processes, leadership potential is overlooked when ranking female applicants. In absence of leadership experience, men prefer male applicants. I mean, that's common sense. They literally told us why. And men with low power rate female applicants worse and suggest a lower income. Furthermore, in performance evolutions, female leaders are ranked as having many positive attributes as male leaders. However, they're also presumed to have more negative attributes than male leaders. The attributes being mainly feminine, and promotions are given to women only when they have better performances rating than men. Standards for promotions are held more strictly for women than men. Basically, when you are in a leadership position as a woman, being feminine, it doesn't actually help the company. It doesn't help the client. When you are in a leadership position, you have to be masculine. Being agreeable, feminine, people-oriented, that part of you doesn't exist and shouldn't exist and can't exist. And those are the negative attributes, which is why, once again, it is more natural for men to be in those positions. So when I see topics like this with females arguing about how they can be able to separate themselves, they can be able to change and do different things, when you really take a look at what it takes for you to even reach that position, hit that financial ladder, it definitely takes more of a toll on who you are, and which is why you cannot be able to switch it off. That is a hard one to switch off. And it's proven by articles written by psychologists, by a video explained to you why women don't even want to be in these positions and why it is going to be hard for you to switch it off. When I look at these videos and these type of discussions, and then I take my time to do a little bit of research, watch videos, all I hear is you're in denial at the fact that a masculine female in a higher position is really losing herself, lost her core values, and essentially is never going to be as attractive as a feminine woman. And you can't take that. And you may be able to get married, but to the man that you want, no. To the traditional man that you want, no. To the masculine man that you want, no. And that's the kicker. And that's the part where they will always argue against. Okay, then. So that is my video, or my little reaction, and my breakdown. So I'm just gonna quickly, if anyone wants to come up and maybe have their opinion, or if you agree or disagree, you can definitely tap on the link. It is on the chat. So the Black Widow, so the real book said the Black Widow spider that's willing to consume their own young. That's an interesting take. So yeah, I mean, I haven't had any requests, so it seems like I am going to be wrapping this up. But I do want to thank everyone that has joined me today. I appreciate every single one of you. I feel like my chat is a bit slow, so if I'm not hitting the comments as quickly as I would like to, I apologize. I know a lot of you are probably speaking a lot of facts right now. So yeah, it was a good video, and it was great to break things down and break the personality traits that a lot of females like to gloss over. Just like they put it, you can't gloss over this. You can't gloss over backed up psychological traits about men and women, no matter how you feel about it. So yes, once again, I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for joining me. Happy holidays, and I will be back with another live reaction. So definitely keep an eye out. And yeah, once again, thank you. I appreciate every single one of you. I know Snuggle said, I would like to see you have a conversation with other streamers. Well, you know, I'm always open to it. So we will see in the future. Thank you, Beorg. I appreciate you. And everyone else has been here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, gonna lock it off. Thank you, Aloha. Appreciate you as well. Have a good day and have a good night. Bye.